Meeting will come to order. First item of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join in.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On the 11th of January, there was an executive session of the board, and the report on that is, in the interest of quickening the process for a member, the board of directors unanimously voted to approve the traversing of common property for a failed septic system request located at 4 Kent Lane. Next up, the approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion for the regular meeting last month? JB? Yes. Jackie? Anybody find anything wrong with those minutes? All those in favor? Thank you. Next up is the work session last week. Have a motion on that.
So moved.
Jason and Jeff. Anybody find anything to change there? All those in favor? Thank you. The next up is the Joint Advisory Committee reports. I believe Recreation is first. Deborah?
Good evening. Block everybody there. The Joint Recreation Committee met on January the 8th. And if you wanted a really good summary of what occurred, just check out the front page of the newspaper above the fold. We had about 50 POA members that were in attendance to discuss the range, and they did leave very satisfied with their update. Tom gave us a presentation on the closure of the range, and the highlights were as follows. He explained the issue, detailed the steps that had been taken, shared current thoughts for the go-forward plan, which included, A, they could change because as we learn more, everything done will be done in the interest of safety. We all need to listen, and management will listen with an open mind to all proposed solutions. Baffle and berm will be the most likely resolution. If so, management is already working with Cooper on a potential land purchase if needed. Currently, the POA is working in partnership with Ozark Sportsman in Springdale, and so our POA members can go there, and it is subsidized by the POA until our range reopens. The reopen date and the cost currently are unknown, and we will provide an update, or management will provide an update at each rec meeting going forward until the issue is resolved. There was one other visitor there. They came to talk about pickleball at the rec, and Joan answered their question. It was just really a balance between pickleball and basketball, and I think that was well resolved. Under new business, the main thing that we had was that we have an opening on our committee, and the committee approved Alan Atkins to join the rec JAC. We are asking that you all consider that tonight and vote on it. Under our amenity highlights, since Tom took the first 47 minutes of our meeting, we ran through them rather quickly. There's not really anything outstanding, especially this time of the year, a lot of maintenance notes. One thing that was said to think about going forward, that day at Branchwood, there was a birthday party for a grade school aged child. And as the families were all assembling there, the kids were everywhere. They were in the lawn, they were in the hot tub, they were everywhere. And as you looked around and saw this activity, it really just makes you think for a minute, as we think going forward, what, if anything, do we need to change in our strategy in regards to what we do for younger children, and especially on that side of town, would be the biggest takeaway from the meeting. Under staff reports, Joan talked to us a lot about the BVRC utilization, that it is very high, and 40 to 50% of the visitors are first-time visitors. She feels that that indicates that the improvements that our community wanted were made, and it also shows the growth of our community. The team is still working behind the scenes to evaluate and provide the best opportunities. They have added additional pickleball hours and open play, again, to our members' request. And the tennis pro shop, she just reminded everyone, is always open when it's 35 degrees or higher. And I just thought this one was super cool. So Jessica talked to us about the fitness calendars. And if you didn't know, if you needed a fitness calendar, you went to either each rec center and got it on a piece of paper, or you could go to the app. No disrespect, but it was a little clumsy. Jessica has put them all together online, and I'm going to tell you something. You want to talk about easy to use, super cool. Great job to her and the team, whoever was involved. Thank you. Any questions? Our next meeting is Monday, February the 12th at 4 o'clock in the boardroom and live stream. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you, Deborah. Next up would be Lakes Committee.
So I have the report from the Lakes Committee provided by Matt, the chair. Chris Fuller, the POA's lake biologist, gave a presentation regarding 23 Secchi depth readings for the POA lakes. Secchi depth readings indicate water clarity and thereby estimate plankton production. Ideally, we'd like to be at a Secchi depth of 2 meters of visibility. Lakes from time to time need nutrient enhancement to lower the Secchi depth to reach the 2 meter mark. POA volunteers take Secchi depth readings every Monday.
Can you spell that?
SECCHI, thank you. Scott Hawes from the Lakes Committee member shared information about a device called the Arkansas Cube, which was tested by the Arkansas Department of Game and Fish. These cubes have the potential to enhance native aquatic vegetation in our lakes, which support healthier fishery. Fly tires will help in the assembly and implementation of these. In addition to encouraging a native aquatic vegetation, grass carp production will be reduced on some lakes where appropriate. Selected coves will be targeted for fencing and netting along shorelines to encourage native aquatic vegetation. Lake Windsor is scheduled to begin refilling February 19th, although there has been some pushback that might be delayed by a short bit. During this drawdown, gravel and silt have been removed, and 3 pavilion roofs will be replaced in the spring of 24, as well as heated dock repair on Lake Avalon. Trout stocking on Lake Brittany through the winter, with 1,400 rainbow trout stocked in late December. And that is the extent of the report.
Thank you. The golf did not have a January meeting, so there will be no report. Next up, the financial reports. Beth.
Now you're showing all my comments. Okay, we're doing a little bit something different since this is the first meeting after the close of the year. We're going to do kind of a recap of 2023. These are preliminary numbers. We're still working on absolutely finalizing everything in preparation for the audit. When those numbers are finalized, we will have financial reports posted to the website. I'm not working. To start off with, we have a few slides on the budget. So at a consolidated level, we had $37,609,000 in revenue, compared to budgeted of $35,609,000. That's 6% better than budget. EBITDA, which is earnings before income taxes, depreciation, and amortization, was 8% better than budget. We ended at a consolidated level of $3,683,000 compared to budgeted of $3,404,000. POA only, without water, had $26,291,000 in revenue compared to budget of $24,489, so it did 7% better than budget. EBITDA ended up with $395,000 negative compared to a budgeted negative of $1,114,000, so 65% better than budget. Looking at water only, $11,318,000 in revenue compared to $11,120 budgeted. That's just 2% better. Gross margin in the middle there, gross margin is revenue less the cost of the water before operating expenses. So you'll see that it was only 0.4% better than budget, even though revenue was 2% better, and that is reflective of the increased cost of the water that we had during the year. EBITDA was 4% worse than budget, but still had a positive $4,077,000, and the biggest reasons for the being worse than budget is the supplies, meter supplies, the water distribution supplies, the brass, all that. The prices of that have skyrocketed. So moving to food and beverage and doing an overview of that, they had $3,939,000 in revenue in 23 compared to just $3,245,000 in 2022. So that's a 21% year-over-year increase. Breaking that down some, food sales increased by 26%, alcohol sales increased by 22%, and member discounts increased by 31%. Member discounts are a negative to revenue. When a member goes and eats at the restaurant, they get a discount, so it reduces the revenue, and we track that. But showing that it increased 31% is showing that our members are being engaged at the restaurants. The pie chart shows what each location's share of the total F&B revenue is. So the BV Bar and Grill had 52% of the revenue. Lake Point 24%, Highlands 14%, Gear Garden 4%, and F&B at the Pro Shop 6% of the revenue. And looking at each location, how they did compared to 2022, BV Bar and Grill's revenue increased by 17% compared to last year, or 2022. Lake Point decreased by 1%. Highlands Pub increased by 87%. Gear Garden, 82%. And the Pro Shops, 37%. Switching to golf, they had $6,062,000 in revenue in 23 compared to $4,992,000 in 22. That's an increase of 21%. The total number of golf rounds increased 19% from 22, and the number of guest rounds increased 33%. Even with all that additional activity, golf maintenance expense only increased by 4%. So Eagles is a positive thing in golf. So looking at some of the positive numbers, cart revenue increased by 29% compared to 22. Members' green fees income increased by 20%. Income from guest green fees increased by 44%, and Pro Shop sales merchandise increased by 19%. The one bogey we had was the annual green fees, which decreased by 10% compared to 22. Similarly, how we did with F&B, we'll look at the total share of each locations to total revenue. So Kingsdale is the winner, which has the 2 18-hole course and the 19-hole course. It had 25% of the revenue. Country Club had 23%. What did I say? Oh, did I say 19? In my mind, I said 9. Metfield, same, an 18-hole course and a 9-hole course. It had 19% of the share of the total revenue. Highlands had 17%, and Scottsdale had 16%. And looking how each location did compared to 2022. Scottsdale revenue increased by 15%. They all increased. Metfield's revenue increased by 28. Kingsdale's increased by 41. Country Club increased by 39. Highlands increased by 27. Switching to recreation now. A lot of recreation is covered by the activity fee cards, but regardless of that, they still earned $1,340,000 in revenue in 2023, which was a 4% increase from 2022. Merchandise sales increased 18%. Members' use of the RV park, the revenue from them decreased by 23%. Guest revenue at the RV park increased by 12%, and tiny cabin income increased by 10%. The gun range, you'll see that nearly every single month in 23 at both facilities, the 23 usage was more than the 22 usage. It dropped down here at the last month or two, and we have the temporary closure of the gun range, so that makes sense. Even with that temporary closure that happened, I believe, in November, total revenue increased by 24% compared to 22, and the total usage increased by 19%. This chart shows the number of improved lots from the beginning of 18 to the end of 23, so 6 years. We ended the 23 with almost 16,000 improved lots. It had increased by 2,249 lots since 2018, which was 16%. In 2023 alone, improved lots increased by 583. And 5 of the top 6 largest single-month increases during those 6 years happened in 2023. The POA has an intercompany loan with water. We did pay $305,000 in principal and interest during 23, and we did borrow $500,000 in December to help pay toward capital projects. The balance of that loan stands at just over $2.5 million, but that shows how it had decreased from 2019 until this recent borrowing. And these are just some random general call-outs. Entertainment expense, we spent $36,000 more in 2023 compared to 22 to enhance entertainment. Health insurance actually cost us less than in 23 by $528,000, 29%. Expenses related to Trafalgar Fire was less than 22 by $726,000. Income from membership transfer fees decreased $117,000, and from lot resales decreased $359,000. In 2022, we sold the rights to the cell tower lease for $912,000, so we did not have that in 2023. Investment rates were great during 2023, and so our income increased 57% there by $249,000. And that's it. We're jumping into 24. We appreciate all your support in 23 and your continued support as well.
Thank you, Beth. At this time, it's time for the open forum. Nobody signed in to speak, so we will go right on to the next issue. That being the e-foil, looking for looking for a vote of the board. Talking about this. Okay. Issue has taken quite a bit of time in committee and the board, and what we're looking for is a motion at this time so we can discuss.
Yeah, let me jump in. I just want to this issue has been discussed for many months by the Lakes Committee. Also, at last week's work session, the board discussed this at great length. So if this is the first time you're watching the board meet, and I don't know how long the board's going to decide to discuss this issue tonight, but if it goes through kind of quickly, I encourage you to watch last week's work session meeting because a lot of dialogue occurred at that time. Also go back a little bit further and look at some of the discussions at the Lakes Committee meeting. So if it goes fast tonight, it's not because it has not been discussed at great length in previous meetings.
Correct. Okay, that being said, the first issue that we're going to address is motorized kayaks and paddleboards on POA lakes. Can I have someone make a motion on that issue? Jan?
I make a motion allowing the use of motorized kayaks and paddleboards on POA lakes up to a maximum speed of 5 miles per hour. As part of this motion, the Rules and Regulations Committee is directed to develop the regulations with the intent for the board to vote on these regulations at their February meeting.
Thank you. Second by Jeff. Okay, this was forwarded to the board by the Lakes Committee, and as I said, they had been studying this issue since last summer.
Yes.
Okay, and the committee, JAC committee, voted 7-2 in favor of permitting this. So, is there anybody who wants to speak at this time? No. In that case, we'll vote. All those in favor of the motion as stated? Thank you. The next issue is the e-foils issue. The committee studied this simultaneously. A little bit different recommendation from them. They did vote 5-4 in favor of allowing e-foils on the POA lakes. And the board has considered this for several meetings. And as Tom said, last Thursday, everybody on the board got a chance to state their position. If I remember correctly, it was pretty negative. So the motion that I'm asking for this motion to prohibit the use of e-foils. Anybody want to make that motion? JB?
Sure. I make a motion prohibiting the use of e-foils and motorized surfboards on POA lakes. As part of this motion, the Rules and Regs Committee is directed to develop the appropriate regulations to reflect this prohibition with the intent for the board to vote on these regulations at their February meeting. So this is backwards from regular, usually with motions you put it out there and then you vote no, but in this case, it's backwards.
Yes, this is asking, this motion is for a negative. Who would second that? Jerry. Okay. So the rules or the regulations will be developed by the Rules and Regulations Committee as stated, and the board will intend that we have an opportunity to vote on that next month, and then every property owner who's already registered their watercraft will be informed of that new regulation the way it's stated. And as of today, there have been no e-foils permitted in January. We put a hold on it to see what would happen. So, is there anybody who wants to say anything about this motion? Sandy?
I just want to say that I appreciate all the information that the members have brought forward to us, and I considered all of it as I've gone through it. I do think they look like an awful lot of fun. I wouldn't mind having one, but I don't think that our lakes are large enough, so.
Okay, thank you.
It has not been seconded. It has not.
We did not get a second?
Jerry did? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Great job, Darren.
I just wanted to speak and basically kind of comment or ditto what Sandy said. Appreciate the work of the Lakes Committee, all the membership. It's a hard decision to make when the membership comes out and we have to work for the membership, and you know what everybody said there made this a little bit easier to vote to prohibit. So exactly what Sandy said. I just second that.
Anyone else? In that case, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion prohibiting the use of e-foils and motorized surfboards? 9-0. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is the annual vote for corporate officers. I know this is terribly riveting and exciting, but every year the state says we have to tell them who these people are. So who would make that motion? One motion, there's before motions, 4 people.
Yeah. You want to
do one for all 4?
One at a time.
I can do the first one. Make a motion naming Jessica McCrary the corporate secretary of the association.
Thank you. Jeff seconds that. Is there any discussion? Didn't think so. All in favor? Second motion for treasurer? Jeff?
I make a motion naming Beth Nagel as the treasurer of the association.
Thank you. Second by JB. Any discussion? All in favor? 9. Next up is vice president of the association. Jackie?
I guess I'll make a motion naming Doug McCash the vice president of the association.
I'll second that.
Second by Jason. Oh, poor Doug. He has to put up with all the lawyer jokes and everything. Yeah. Okay, any discussion on that one? All in favor? And the last would be Tom Judson as president of the association. Tom carries the title of president, CEO, and COO. So, a motion on that one? Jen?
I make a motion naming Tom Judson the president of the association.
Second by Jerry. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. And we have a septic system common property report that's included in your packet, I believe. Nothing to vote on because we did vote on this issue at an executive session to speed the process. It was reported earlier in the meeting. So, oh boy, time for dinner.
This is, we put this report together at the request of the board. You'll see all the approved ones since 2019. We're averaging about 2 a year, with most of them traversing common property, 5 of them traversing common property, and 4 of them being failures with installations on common property. I'd also, are there any questions on this?
Just 1 second, Tom. I think that it's just a good opportunity to remind the membership who are out there listening, who also visit this video later, that although Bella Vista only accounts for 5% of the total land mass in Benton County, it accounts for 58% of the total septic tanks. And so many of them are 20 plus years old, and so although we've only have a smattering of them that have had issues over the past few years, their time is due, and encourage everybody to go to the city and the POA's website, learn more about taking care of their septic tanks. It's in the best interest of us all to do that. So keep that in mind, folks.
Yeah, this is an issue that keeps popping up, and the process, as we mentioned earlier, is quite lengthy. You know, the poor homeowner finds out that their system has failed, and it seems to take at least 6 months to get through the process as we've laid it out before anything can be done with the state and the county and the POA and everybody. So it is a lengthy process, and it's not a lot of fun.
I'd like to add one item. Deborah brought this up, and I missed this on my notes, but the rec committee has recommended the addition of Alan Atkins as a replacement on the rec committee. I do apologize, there's not a memo included in your packet. If we could get approval on Mr. Atkins, I'd appreciate it.
I'll make a motion approving Alan Atkins to the Recreation Committee.
Thank you. Second on that? Jackie? Was there any discussion on this nomination? All those in favor? Thank you. That would bring us to the upcoming meetings. I know, it takes a long time. The last informational meeting for Board of Directors elections, any people who want to check it out, is Monday, February 5th at 4 p.m. here in the boardroom. This is one that was added after the first two meetings, so that's a third chance. Rules and regs will meet, regulations will meet Thursday, February 8th at 1:30 right here in the boardroom, and they will be discussing the language for the e-foil prohibition. The Board of Directors GM meeting closed meeting will follow at 2:30 here in the boardroom. Recreation JAC meeting is Monday, February 12th at 4 p.m. right here. Lakes JAC is Wednesday, the 14th at 2, followed by golf, February 14th at 4. The work session will be Thursday, February 15th at 9 a.m. here in the boardroom. And board candidate packets are due to the corporate secretary Thursday, February 15th at 4 p.m. And the Elections Committee has not been lenient with that deadline. So, and then the regular session, similar to this meeting, will be Thursday, the 22nd of February here in the boardroom. And I believe at that time, candidates for the board will be announced.
Yes, we will have the Elections Committee representatives here. They will officially announce who has turned in a packet, and the packet's been approved by the Elections Committee, and they'll do the drawing for how the names will appear on the ballots and all additional information that is produced regarding the election.
Now, this is about a month later than it's been done other years. We decided to lengthen the petition period and get it closer to it.
Lengthen the petition period, but shorten the rest of the period.
Yeah.
The original calendar was established when the Elections Committee counted the ballots by hand. It was a lot more laborious process, and we just felt that shortening up that time frame, because the board packet, the deadline is February 15th. It used to be January 15th or something to that nature, but the election doesn't start until the first week of April. It doesn't end till the end of middle to the end of the May, and then the seat isn't filled until June. And so we're just trying to shorten that process a little bit because all that additional time was really based in the past. So.
Hey, Tom, real quick. Last night I was searching on the POA website about the election dates and to find the packet, and it's still quite cumbersome. And although we do have a dedicated URL for the Board of Directors, a lot of that pertinent information is not there. Mm-hmm. And so I urge our web team to kind of update that portion of the website, make sure that packet's easily found, the dates are easily there, and let's please encourage more people in the membership to run for a volunteer role on the board. It is a lot of time, it is a lot of effort, it is a lot of energy, but the impact is great, so encourage more people out there to apply to run for the Board of Directors.
Good thought. Is there anything else? Does anybody object to closing the meeting?
So moved.
Meeting is adjourned.
Yeah, that you did. I forgot.